You've been told the dark web is a massive hidden digital underworld, an endless sprawling nightmare of criminals and secret markets. But what if the most dangerous thing about the dark web isn't what's for sale, but the story you've been sold about its existence? Because there's a conspiracy here that has a terrifying ring of truth. It's not about phantom hitmen or live-streamed horror. It's about the carefully constructed myth of a vast criminal empire. A myth that hides a far more interesting and revealing truth about this corner of the internet. When you hear dark web, what do you picture? A digital Wild West, right? A place bigger than the regular internet, teeming with untouchable criminals. This is the story everyone thinks they know. But here's the first lie. The dark web is shockingly small. It's not a continent, it's a tiny, secluded island. Estimates vary, but most agree the services on the dark web make up a minuscule fraction of the internet, maybe 5% or less. The so-called deep web is massive, sure, but that's mostly just boring, unindexed stuff like corporate databases, academic journals, and your email inbox. The dark web, the supposed criminal empire, is a tiny piece of that. And the idea that it's an ungovernable space? That's the second lie. International law enforcement has become ruthlessly efficient at dismantling its biggest players. Remember the Silk Road? The FBI shut it down way back in 2013. Then came Alpha Bay and Hansa, taken down in a sophisticated sting called Operation Bayonet in 2017. More recently, major markets like Hydra have been seized. These weren't small-time operations. Before German and US authorities seized its servers, Hydra had processed approximately $2 billion in cryptocurrency since 2015. The days of a lawless frontier are over. The dark web is a place where major players are consistently hunted down. So if the dark web isn't some vast, uncontrollable criminal empire, then what is it? And why does this myth persist? This is where we get to the real story. The most shocking conspiracy isn't what's happening on the dark web, but why it exists at all, and who benefits from you believing the scary stories. Here's the ultimate irony. The Tor browser, the key that unlocks the dark web, wasn't created by rogue hackers. It was born in a United States Naval Research Laboratory. In the mid-1990s, US intelligence agencies had a problem. They needed a way for their agents and informants to communicate anonymously online from hostile territories. But there was a huge catch. If only American spies used this secret network, it would be like painting a giant target on their backs. Any government monitoring internet traffic would instantly know that anyone connecting to this network was a US operative. The solution was both brilliant and a little diabolical. They needed to create a system of anonymity so compelling that millions of ordinary people would use it, creating a giant haystack of internet traffic for their intelligence needles to hide in. The technology they developed was called onion routing, a method of wrapping communications in multiple layers of encryption and bouncing it through a global network of volunteer computers, making it nearly impossible to trace. This became the Onion Router, or Tor. In 2004, the US Navy released the code for Tor as a free, open-source project. They essentially gave their top-secret communication tool to the world. Why? Because for a CIA agent to use Tor without raising suspicion, there needed to be thousands of other people in that country using it too, for whatever reason. They built the haystack and invited everyone to play in it. This is the true, complicated nature of the dark web. It's a tool of duality. The story of a huge criminal underworld is the perfect cover. While the media focuses on the scary drug marketplaces, it distracts from the network's main purpose and its most important users. Studies have consistently shown that illegal activity is a surprisingly small part of what happens on Tor. One often cited statistic suggests that only around 6.7% of Tor users connect to hidden onion services for illicit purposes. That means for every one person doing something shady, there are more than a dozen others using it for something else, often just to protect their privacy on the normal internet. So who are these other users? They're the very people the US government claims to support. They are journalists communicating with sources in dangerous places. Organizations like Reporters Without Borders and the Freedom of the Press Foundation train journalists to use Tor to protect themselves and their sources. They are activists and dissidents under authoritarian regimes, using Tor to organize protests and bypass state censorship. Major news organizations like the New York Times and The Guardian run secure drop services on Tor so whistleblowers can submit information anonymously. The dark web, then, isn't a single monster. It's a battleground. On one hand, it's a vital tool for human rights and free speech, partly funded by the same government that publicly condemns its dark side. On the other, its criminal reputation provides the perfect smokescreen for its intelligence-gathering origins. The sensationalism is a feature, not a bug. Sometimes all these worlds intersect in genuine unsolved mysteries. Take Cicada 3301. Starting in 2012, this group posted a series of incredibly complex puzzles online to recruit highly intelligent individuals. The puzzles required skills in cryptography and data security and led people on a global scavenger hunt. To this day, no one knows who is behind Cicada 3301. Theories range from a recruitment tool for an intelligence agency like the CIA or NSA to a cyber mercenary group. It's a perfect example of the strange, shadowy world that defines the true nature of the dark web, far more intriguing than a simple black market. So, the next time you hear someone talk about the dark web as a giant, evil network, you'll know the real story. You'll know the narrative of an uncontrollable criminal empire is a convenient fiction, one that hides a much more complex and fascinating reality. The reality is that the dark web is a specialized tool created by the US military that now serves as a critical lifeline for journalists, activists, and whistleblowers. Its criminal side is real, but it's constantly under attack by law enforcement and represents only a fraction of its use. The lie isn't that bad things happen there, it's that that's the only thing that happens. The real conspiracy is the one hiding in plain sight. The same tool feared as a criminal haven is also celebrated as a tool for freedom, often by the very same institutions. It forces us to ask a tough question. In an age of mass surveillance, what is the true cost of privacy? And who decides who deserves it? What do you think is the biggest myth about the dark web? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the stories you thought you knew, make sure to like and subscribe.